Hello, everybody. I want to talk uh, tonight about the Manson family, Charles Manson. There's the official story, and there's what is much closer to the truth of what really happened. And it's a very important story because it reflects what is happening today. Uh, there's a lot been going on. You've heard the word deep state thrown around. Well, this was going on when Sharon Tate was murdered, too. And they say that Sharon Tate's murder basically killed the 1960s peace movement. And you're going to find out what really took place and what it was all about. This picture you're looking at is Sharon Tate with her father, who is a high ranking intelligence officer in the Army. He was based out of San Francisco. And so I'll just give you that little bit of information to show you what actually took place in 1969. It was basically it was an operation to discredit the peace movement and to destroy the peace movement. That's what it's actually about. So let me go here and show you some stuff. Let me go back to the beginning. Here's the story. Just go under it if you want read the story because I can't play all the videos for copyright. Just go in important world news in the future of news and you will get the Manson story that I'm taking you through here. Was the Manson family an illegal deep state operation to kill the 1960s peace movement? Now, deep state is not a conspiracy theory. 5 presidents, no less than 5 presidents, have warned Americans about the deep state. The deep state has many names, a military industrial complex, things like that. You can go on my website and read about those 5 presidents. So let's not say we're dabbling in conspiracy theory here. Okay. Now all these are clickable. Everything I've got here are clickable to the source. So all my stuff is sourced. Operation Chaos. The CIA infiltrated domestic anti-war organizations. Not good. Not good. Domestic infiltrated. And then right here is the illegal deep state explained. I think this is the link that will take you straight to the 5 presidents who have warned us about this. This is 1969. It's 2020 now. Same stuff happening. This is the church committee hearings. Intelligence agencies' illegal domestic surveillance of American citizens. This is like a 3-hour video that took place in 1975. This is from C-SPAN. Okay. We'll get into Charles Manson in just a second. In 1971, Mae Brussel talks about the Manson deep state operation. She was calling it an intelligence operation 50 years ago. She was on the air talking about it. This woman deserves a lot of credit for what she did. real good listening too, as far as what was actually taking place. Okay, this happened 10 years before the peace movement. In 1955 to 1965, when the CIA ran an LSD sex house in San Francisco. That's from the San Francisco Chronicle. You can click on the SFC right there and go to it. Next up, CIA employees were sent to San Francisco. This is 10 years before the peace movement. So they literally had a hand in creating this peace movement in order to control it and bring the drugs in to get them all stoned and to discredit them. CIA employees were sent to San Francisco in 1959 to lure unsuspecting people to a party at which the two agents were to spray the air with LSD 25 as part of the agency's secret mind control program. Not a conspiracy theory, folks. This is from the New York Times. If I'm a conspiracy theorist, so are the New York Times. This is from the Washington Post. The date is June 11th, 1971. Panel finds CIA broke law, defends record. CIA infiltrated 17 area groups, gave out LSD. Suicide revealed, district the focus. And this is a book, Report to the President by the Commission on CIA Activities Within the United States. Now think about 2020. All the stuff you're seeing on the news is not what it appears to be. You're looking at the deep state in progress. I'll give you an example. And this isn't about Democrat or Republican, doesn't have anything to do with that. Let's say Trump, as an example. Okay, Trump got caught doing several things. Here's two possibilities that you have to consider. He is guilty or he's being framed. And don't think the FBI and the CIA are these outstanding agencies, because they have a long history of not following the Constitution and not following the law. So, naive time is over. Naive time is way, way over. Was Manson a Manchurian candidate? In the 1950s, the CIA mind control program tried to produce a Manchurian candidate programmed to kill. Now, I say this because I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying that it is a possibility that it did happen. Maybe some of the Manson crew were Manchurian candidates. And this goes to some of your school shooters too, your mass shooters. Are they Manchurian candidates programmed to kill? Not saying it's true in every case, but I'm saying it's certainly a possibility. And what makes it even more intriguing is mainstream media has been reporting about this stuff, but they won't touch Manchurian Candidate. They won't even go near it. Watch your TV shows. Won't even say that it's a possibility. Okay, here, let's move on. Sharon Tate's father was a high-ranking colonel and Army intelligence officer at the Presidio in San Francisco, California. Manson's biological father was called Colonel Walker Scott. That's his biological father, went by the name Colonel Walker Scott. Colonel Tate. Manson was afraid of the colonel because he knew the colonel could have him killed. This is a video that you can watch where this is said. This next one is a video. You can click this link and it'll take you straight to the video. Video of Sharon Tate, Merv Griffin, and Hugh O'Brien. And I believe it's Merv Griffin asked Hugh O'Brien in that video, "Are you in the CIA?" And then this is where Sharon Tate says, "My father is in Army intelligence." So there are lots of indications that point that this was an intelligence operation to kill the peace movement. And it worked. And it worked. Okay, next up, this is a short story that I did, article. Whoever controls the crime scene controls the narrative. Don't ever forget that. Just like with Sharon Tate's crime scene. Whoever had control of that crime scene can literally control the narrative of what gets out. So we don't know if we really got the truth or not. And crime scenes are tainted every day by law enforcement. It's been my opinion that in crime scenes, the first people that should be investigated in crime scenes is law enforcement itself. The church committee hearings, which I talked about before, were about the FBI abuse of power. As I go down here, think about, how this is important today too. Okay, an unnamed detective who had worked for Tate case took mountains of police reports, photos from the crime scene to his home. So there's another indication we're not getting the whole story. The night of the murders, Garretson, who was the house guest, I believe, Garretson said he was in the guest house located on the Tate Polanski property. He recalls a lot of strange things going on that night. At one point, he said he saw people run past the gatehouse and heard someone rattle the doorknob before they were scared away by a barking dog. Defender charges cover-up of Manson trial evidence. In 1970, a year after the Tate murder, the movie ranch burnt down. Was somebody destroying the crime scene? Just things to think about. Here's foreknowledge. The family had been under surveillance by local law enforcement because of guns and stolen vehicles at the Spahn Ranch. So before it happened, police had them under surveillance. Okay? Charles Manson knew and socialized with Terry Melcher, Doris Day's son, he was the renter of the house where the Manson murders took place. He's Doris Day's son, and he's also a big record producer. In 1969, record producer Terry Melcher began visiting wannabe rock star Manson at his ramshackle dwelling, the Spahn Ranch. So before the murders, the renter of the house where the murders took place was at the Spahn Ranch. And once again, folks, I'm not saying all this is written in stone. I'm just trying to get as close to the truth as I can. I'm not an insider, I'm an outsider. Okay, next up. Manson knew the owner of the Cielo Drive house. He knew the owner of the house where the murders took place. Manson was at the Tate murder house 4 months before the murders. And once again, these are all clickable sources. Manson and family members had attended a party next door to Leno and Rosemary LaBianca the year before the murders. So they were partying with the LaBiancas. Remember, they were murdered the next night after Sharon Tate was murdered at a different house. And the Manson family members were partying at that house a year before the murders. Joan, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Didion, the essayist, recalls sitting in her sister-in-law's swimming pool in Beverly Hills on August 9, 1969, when the phone rang. Natalie Wood on the line had heard across town there had been a spat of murders at a house rented by director Roman Polanski on Cielo Drive. Early reports were frenzied, shocking, lurid, and incorrect. She remembers all the day's misinformation very clearly, Didion writes. And I also remember this, and wish I did not remember that no one was surprised. So basically what she is saying, no one was surprised on the Hollywood scene that this took place. Hollywood is filled with intelligence agents everywhere. Many of your Hollywood stars are intelligence agents. And I use my website to back that up. You can watch all the videos and everything. What was his name? The one star. He was asked on camera if he was a CIA agent, and he said yes. Matt Damon's buddy. I can't remember his name. I think I have that on my website as well. Spahn ranch hand Mike Armstrong was on television saying he saw Sharon Tate at the ranch. So here's one witness who's saying that he saw Sharon Tate at the Spahn Ranch. Next up, this guy's really good. This is a good video to watch. He interviews Sharon Tate's mother, and at 1 hour and 5 minutes into this interview, Sharon Tate's mother mentions satanic ritual. So it looks like even satanic ritual was involved with this. In fact, when the headlines first hit, that's what they said. In gory ritual, I think they called it, something like that. I don't think they did use the word satanic, but they said ritualistic killings. Yeah, that's it. Ritualistic killings on the second day after it happened. And as soon as I say that, FBI calls it almost ritualistic killings. Okay, Jay Sebring, who went, let me just read it because Jay Sebring, a victim of the murders and close friend of Sharon Tate, was a member of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. He, in one of the Manson murders, Sharon Atkinson had performed in Anton LaVey's show, Witches' Sabbath, prior to joining Charles Manson's cult. All clickable sources. Jay Sebring went with Sharon Tate. He dated her and was even serious about her. 1969, 1 month before the murders, the film Satan's Sadist was shot at the Spahn Ranch in Simi Valley, California, at the same time the Manson family was living there. Are you seeing what I mean by the official story versus closer to the truth? The author suspects that Charles Manson was paid $25,000 by a British satanic cult to target Tate, from the Daily Mail. In the church's first year, Anton LaVey conducted a satanic wedding, a satanic funeral on Treasure Island, which is in the Bay of San Francisco, in cooperation with the U.S. Navy. Anton LaVey and the U.S. Navy. Sanders later claimed that he befriended Tate on the set and initiated her into witchcraft. He said he had photos showing her inside a consecrated magic circle. Sharon Tate was in the movie called Eye of the Devil. 1968, Sharon Tate's husband, Roman Polanski, films Rosemary's Baby. And La Bianca, her name was Rosemary. She was murdered. Did Sharon Tate have information about the Robert F. Kennedy assassination? According to an INS criminal investigators report, the English Satanist group had commissioned Manson to kill Sharon because of something she unfortunately overheard that she was not supposed to overhear, either regards to Sirhan Sirhan or about Sirhan Sirhan, the man who killed Robert F. Kennedy. Now, you have to remember when you get into Hollywood, you're getting into the insiders. Hollywood knows all about what's really going on, but they're not talking. The assassination of Bobby Kennedy was Sirhan hypnotized to be the fall guy. And I believe that comes from the Washington Post. Lynette Squeaky Fromm, a follower of Charles Manson, tried to assassinate President Ford in 1975. Now think about the Manchurian candidates as I go through this, and research Manchurian candidates, because it's certainly a possibility that's what's going on in certain cases. Preston, I can't pronounce his last name, he was the arresting officer of Charles Manson, and he says in his interview with May, he says police were told to stand down concerning Manson. That's at 18 minutes in of this broadcast. Lots of indications, aren't they, that things aren't adding up? Lots of indications. Tate columnist's friend found dead in New York hotel the month after the murders. So Sharon Tate's columnist was found dead in a New York hotel. Preston, once again, a former deputy sheriff at the Malibu Sheriff Department, which aided the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department in the original raid of Spahn Ranch. And here's a video that said 25 fingerprints inside the Tate home were not identified. Boy, this article's longer than I thought it was. I haven't read it in a while. I did it a year or two ago, I guess. Judge denies release of recorded interviews with Manson cult member Tex Watson. Denies release. Why did he deny release? FBI files have 15 deleted pages and many redactions. You go to the FBI website and see it for yourself. Manson lawyer Ronald Hughes had never tried a case before a jury. About 5 months into the trial, Hughes disappeared and turned up dead in an apparent drowning accident. Pedophile Roman Polanski pleaded guilty to unlawful sexual intercourse with a 13-year-old minor. March 1977, Polanski, who was then 43, took a child named Samantha, who he knew was a 13-year-old, to Jack Nicholson's house and raped her. Once she got pregnant, Roman wanted her to get an abortion. Roman Polanski wanted Sharon to get an abortion. When Tate refused an abortion, Polanski went back to London and had an affair with Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and Papas. And once again, for people who are listening, you can go to my website, just go to important news in the menu at the top, and that's where the Manson article is at that I'm reading right now. The Manson family broke into Michelle Phillips' home of the Mamas and Papas, who, who wrote a book about it. I believe that's right. Roman Polanski forced wife Sharon Tate to have threesomes and make home sex videos for friends. Let me see where I'm getting that information from. That's from the Daily Mail. Actor Christopher Jones had an affair with Sharon Tate when she was 6 weeks pregnant with Polanski's child. See all the information the TV set won't tell you? It's almost treasonous, isn't it? Steve McQueen dated Tate and was supposed to visit her on August 8, 1969, the night members of the Manson family killed her. He was supposed to be at the house. Let me see how much more I got. Not too much more. Hope you're enjoying it because I really enjoyed doing it. It just so many indications that we're not getting the whole story. Nancy Pittman grew up in Malibu, California. Nancy and her brothers were surrounded by the rich and famous. She was first introduced to Charles Manson and the family through her friend, Deidre Lansbury, daughter of the famous actress Angela Lansbury. And by the way, Angela Lansbury did a movie with Frank Sinatra called The Manchurian Candidate, which is exactly what I was talking about. Deidre hung out with the family from time to time and even had a note from her mother stating it was okay for her to travel with the Manson family. One of the lawyers felt Krenwinkel's, one of the family members, role in the events was a victim of brainwashing by Charles Manson. And that's where you get into the Manchurian Candidate stuff. Supporters described Van Houten as a misguided teen under the influence of LSD on the night of the killings. They also say she was a victim of Manson's mind control from the LA Times. 1968, days after meeting Beach Boys Dennis Wilson, Manson and the family moved into Wilson's home where they all dropped acid and participated in group sex. Charles Manson's right-hand man, Bruce Davis, may have been the Zodiac Killer. That comes from CBS. And this is the Manson family movie that was shot on the Spahn Ranch right after the Tate murders, I believe. This is really an interesting video to watch. It's almost like it was all staged. And if you remember the end, if you've watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, think about the ending of that movie. There is absolutely no footage of Charles Manson at the Spahn Ranch. Okay, this is something I found interesting. Was there a Masonic connection to this murder? I can't prove that there was. I can't prove that there isn't. All I can do is tell you Polanski was a possible Freemason. Look at this is the symbol for the Masons, and this was carved in to one of the bodies. You see this? Looks just like a Freemason symbol. And you also have to remember John F. Kennedy was assassinated at Dealey Plaza, which is a Freemason site. I'll let you decide. Haight Ashbury, as in hate, ash, and berry. And the street that runs parallel to Haight Ashbury is Masonic Avenue. Here's Masonic Avenue right here. Here's Haight Street. And there's Ashbury Street. Let me see what else. I don't remember this part. Sending a whole bunch of people out in court. Oh, this is something that I guess Manson said. Judge Keene uses all those symbols. He'll make a sign like cut them off, or like when I get to speak, he'll make a signal to one of his marshals, and all of a sudden the whole bunch of people will be let into court. This is Manson saying they used Masonic symbols. This is a picture inside from Getty Images. And this woman here is a clairvoyant. So apparently they let a clairvoyant into the house almost immediately after the murders. Studying bloodstained living room where pregnant actress Sharon Tate and others were found murdered. So they're in the crime scene with the blood still there. You can see it here. Just little things to notice. Once upon a time in Hollywood, on the night of the murder, August 8th tonight, there were two parties going on in the exclusive section of Cielo Drive. Two parties going on. The neighbor recalled. One was at the home next door to the murder house, where a foursome similar to the ill-fated gathering had been invited. So there were two parties going on. I'll have to check that out. I don't remember a whole lot about that article. That's from Cielo Drive, which is a good website documenting uh, the Sharon Tate. Okay, that's it. And once again, just go to my website. Let me take you to it just to make sure. And important world news is right here. Just click on that and that will take you to the Manson story. And I want to thank you for watching, and we will talk to you soon. Later.